Good morning and happy Sabbath. And sorry we couldn't do a recording last Sabbath because we ran into some problems and we couldn't record. So here we'll continue with the second part. This should be part 2. New wine into renewed wineskins, part 2. I'm sorry it shows part 1, but it should be part 2.
Oh.
And this is January the 9th. I'm sorry it's showing January the 2nd. Yeah. Okay, we'll see how that goes. I hope it isn't the January 1st sermon message. It's okay?
Okay.
Sorry, we ran into some technical problems, so here we're back once again. So we're starting with Luke chapter 5, verses 33 to 39. Then they said to him, to Jesus, "Why do the disciples of John fast often and make prayers, and likewise those of the Pharisees, but yours eat and drink?" And he said to them, "Can you make the friends of the bridegroom fast while the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom will be taken away from them. Then they will fast in those days." Then he spoke a parable to them. "No one puts a piece from a new garment onto an old one, otherwise the new makes a tear, and also the piece that was taken out of the new does not match the old. And no one puts new wine into old wineskins, or else the new wine will burst, the wineskins, and be spilled, and the wineskins will be ruined. But new wine must be put into new wineskins, and both are preserved." Okay, so this is very important what Jesus is saying here. But new wine must be put into new wineskins, and both are preserved. Okay. Now, what I want to look at here now in verse 39. And no one, having drunk old wine, immediately desires new, for he says the old is better. So that word immediately, in some translations is not there. And no one, having drunk old wine, desires new, for he says the old is better. Now we're going to focus on verse 37 and 38. Okay, so we're going to focus on these two verses for this very important reason. We're going to look at it in verse 37. And no one puts new wine, the word new there, new wine, into old wineskins, or else the new wine will burst the wineskins and spill the wineskin and spilled, and the wineskins will be ruined. So now what we have to look at is this word new. So with that we go to verse 38. The word new, okay, it's very important what we're going to see here. But new wine must be put into new wineskins, and both are preserved. Now the word in verse 38, the first new, okay, in verse 38, new wine. That word new means in the Greek, okay, because both those two words, new, in verse 38 have different meanings. So there are different Greek words for those two words. So one, that is the new wine, the word for new wine is the Greek neos, N-E-O-S, neos. And what that means, new in time. Keep that in mind. So the new wine, that word new means new in time. Now, the word for new wineskins, that word in the Greek is kahinos. Okay, so that's two different words. And the second word, new wineskin, that one means that word means renewed wineskins, and both are preserved. So the new wineskins is, the word new means new in existence. Okay, so one is the new wine, new in time, must be put into new wineskins, new in existence. So that word new, in a way, really means renewed. So let's see what Jesus was trying to teach here. Okay, and then we're going to look at other verses. So here, the new wine is what Jesus is teaching. Okay, it is new, like the new covenant. So what the new wine is, teachings that Jesus is giving that was in a way never given before. Okay, so this is the new wine, and it must be put into, so back again, but the new wine is new in time. So this is something new in time. It hasn't happened before. This is new in time, and must be put into new wineskins. That word again means renewed wineskin, and new in existence. Okay, and both are preserved. So Jesus is teaching and revealing something that is new, that wasn't given before. So that is the new wine, and it must be put into renewed wineskins. Well, how does the wineskin get renewed? In some cases, they will have a new wineskin, and that means that new wineskin has been renewed with a new wineskin. But in some cases, the old wineskin is still there, and what they'll do certain things to it to renew it to the extent that the new wine can be put into it, and both will be preserved. It wouldn't burst. So what Jesus is saying when he talks of the renewed wineskin, the renewed wineskin is new in existence. So Jesus' new wine can only be put into us once we have been renewed through the work of God, through the work of the Holy Spirit, we have been renewed. Our thinking has been renewed from the old way of thinking. And we have become new wineskins, renewed wineskins. Then that new wine can be put into us. If not, it cannot happen. It just won't work. That's what Jesus is trying to teach here. See, we're going to cover this next Sabbath a bit more and close the series. So it will be the third part of the series. But what is being presented here very clearly, that if we hang on to the old way of understanding God and His character, then the new wine cannot be poured into us. It cannot, it just won't work. But once we have been renewed, again, through the work of God's Spirit, and our minds have been renewed, made new wineskins, then the new wine can be poured into us, and then the both will be preserved. For that we are going to look now at a few verses. So we'll start with Matthew 5, verse 17 to 20. Do not think that I came to destroy the law or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. So in verse 17, what Jesus is saying, that whatever He's presenting and teaching, He is not going to be destroying the law or the prophets, because I did not come to destroy but to fulfill. So how is He fulfilling it? He is fulfilling it by giving His revelation of it, by teaching the truth as it is in Him. For assuredly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle will by no means pass from the law till all is fulfilled. So He's saying, for assuredly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle will by no means pass from the law till all is fulfilled. What law? The law of love that governs God's kingdom. Okay? And that law was to be understood in the Old Testament, but in a way it wasn't understood the way it should have been understood. So He came to fulfill what the law stood for, which was God's love, by showing it, by living it, and demonstrating it. So the next verse we're looking at is verse 19. Whoever therefore breaks one of the least of these commandments, what Jesus has been teaching there, and teaches men so, shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say to you, that unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the Scribes and the Pharisees, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. So what Jesus has just taught is the new wine message. Okay? So because He says, for I say to you, unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the Scribes and the Pharisees, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. So what is the righteousness of the Scribes and Pharisees? According to their righteousness, what they believed was that the righteous person, who is them, they are the righteous people, the righteous person will do things to evil people and take care of evil. Very good example was the adulterous woman. You see, so they were the righteous people who brought this unrighteous woman, this evil woman, this adulterous woman, and they now wanted Jesus. If you are the righteous person, if you really are righteous, you are going to take care of this evil, this adulterous woman, the way Moses had commanded, that she should be stoned for adultery. The next one we are going to look at is Matthew 5, 43 to 48. And Jesus is very clear. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. So look, there's nowhere in the Old Testament you can research it, check it out, whatever you want. Nowhere in the Old Testament does it say, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. It's not there. Believe me, it's not. They try and give you some references of the Old Testament, but that's not exactly what it is stating. Okay? So what Jesus said, you have heard that it was said, which means to say they didn't read it, but they heard it from their own teachers in the synagogues, in the temple, in the studies, wherever it was. They heard these kind of things, that you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. So what verse 44 is saying is the new wine. This is exactly what the new wine understanding is. And Jesus is giving this new wine understanding. They never had it understood before. Before, what everything in the Old Testament before showed, you killed your enemies. Really. Your enemies were there, whoever they were. You killed them, or God killed them, or God told you to kill them. But what Jesus is saying, and this is the new wine message, okay? But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be sons of your Father in heaven. So we cannot be the sons of our Father in heaven if we don't pay attention to what Jesus said in verse 44. No way. We can be children of God, but we can never be sons and daughters of God. The sons and daughters of God know God's character the way it should be understood. That's how they become sons and daughters. Children are still in that darkness, okay? So verse 45, that you may be sons of your Father in heaven. Why? What does the Father in heaven do? For He, the Father that Jesus is revealing, He makes His sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the just and the unjust. See the new wine understanding? The old wine understanding was what? God never makes His sun rise on the evil. God never sends rain on the unjust and evil people. That's what they understand. But Jesus is saying that the God He is showing, the Father in heaven, He makes His sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the just and the unjust. New wine understanding. For if you love those who love you, what reward have you? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? Again, old wine message. And if you greet your brethren only, what do you do more than others? Do not even the tax collectors do so? Again, that is the old wine understanding. Therefore, you shall be perfect, just as your Father in heaven is perfect. There it is. For us to be perfect, we must have the new wine understanding of Jesus Christ. Then what happens? We become perfect like our Father in heaven is perfect. And how is our Father in heaven perfect? He loves everybody with agape love. He doesn't pick and choose, love this one or love that one. He loves across the board, everyone. Okay? Now, we're going to go to the next passage. Matthew 7, 21 to 23. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. What does that mean? Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. And what is the will of his Father in heaven? Again, Jesus very clear, God the Father made it very clear what is the will of his Father in heaven. He at the Mount of Transfiguration, he said, this is my beloved Son in whom I'm well pleased. Hear him. But he does, okay, so that's what it is, the will of his Father, his will, the will of his Father in heaven is that we have to listen to nobody else but Jesus Christ. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? How are they doing it? With the old wine mentality, with the old wine understanding. And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness, or you workers of iniquity. So these people did not accept Jesus' new wine teaching. And who were these people? If applying to us, Christians. Christians, not non-Christians. But he tells them, you are workers of iniquity. You are lawless. Okay. Next one we're looking at is Matthew 7:24 to 27. Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on the rock. Again, what is this? The new wine teaching. Okay. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded where? On the rock, Jesus Christ. New wine. Now, but everyone who hears these sayings of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. So, you hear it, but you don't live it, then you've gone back to the old wine way. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall. There it is. The old wine mentality, the old wine understanding. Okay? So now we're going to look at what Paul had to say. In 1 Corinthians 3, verses 10 and 11. According to the grace of God which was given to me as a wise master builder. He's repeating what Jesus taught him, the new wine, okay? Which was, as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation and another builds on it. But let each one take heed how he builds on it. For no other foundation can anyone lay than that which is laid, which is Jesus Christ. So it doesn't matter what we do. Doesn't matter whatever foundation we are laying. If that foundation is not on the person of Jesus Christ. If it is not, then our foundation has been laid the wrong way. Okay? For no other foundation can anyone lay than that which is laid, which is Jesus Christ. So that is a settled issue. If you want the new wine and the new wine understanding, then the only foundation that we have to use, nothing else, from Genesis to Revelation, we must find our answers in the foundation, and that foundation is the person of Jesus Christ. Now we will look at Matthew 4 and verses 23 and 25. Again, this is extremely important here now. And Jesus went about all Galilee, teaching in the synagogues. What was he teaching in the synagogues? Preaching the gospel of the kingdom, which is what? The new wine of Jesus Christ, the new wine understanding, the new wine teaching, the new wine of his ministry. And Jesus went about all Galilee, teaching in the synagogues, preaching the gospel of the kingdom. And what does he do? Healing all kinds of sicknesses and all kinds of disease among the people. He went and healed all, whether they came and asked him for healing or not. The verse is clear. He was healing all. Why? Because he was preaching the gospel of the kingdom. He was giving the new wine revelation of God. And the new wine revelation of God was here. He was undoing all the works of the devil. So all the sickness and disease that came from Satan and sin, not from God, Jesus completely healed them all. That is the new wine. Okay? Verse 24. Then his fame went throughout all Syria, and they brought to him all sick people who were afflicted with various diseases and torments, and those who were demon-possessed, epileptics and paralytics, and he healed them. See, we must grasp these things, that he was doing, what he was doing was undoing the works of the devil. This is all new wine. Old wine understanding was that all the sickness and disease was brought about by God, because either the person sinned or his parents sinned, or some way it was their fault that God punished them with this sickness and diseases. And that's the old wine understanding. And here Jesus is demonstrating what the new wine message is. Great multitude followed him from Galilee and from Decapolis, Jerusalem, Judea, and beyond the Jordan. They all followed him because he was healing them revealing the gospel of the kingdom, showing what God is all about compared to what they knew before. With that, we're going to go to Matthew chapter 8. And again, focusing on this whole new wine understanding, which is what Jesus was doing, was dispelling all the old wine understanding and giving the new wine understanding. And again, it all involves healing. When he had come down from the mountain, great multitudes followed him. This is after the Sermon on the Mount. And behold, a leper came and worshipped him, saying, Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean. Then Jesus put out his hand and touched him, saying, I am willing, be cleansed. Immediately the leprosy left him. Again, demonstrating his new wine teachings by living and showing what it's all about. Verse 4. And Jesus said to them, see that you tell no one, but go your way, show yourself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded as a testimony to them. Now when Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, pleading with him, saying, Lord, my servant is lying at home, paralyzed, dreadfully tormented. And Jesus said to him, I will come and heal him. And keep in mind, we are doing all of this to show that all the old wine way of understanding things, Jesus was undoing it. All the works of the devil, Jesus was undoing it and giving the new wine revelation. The centurions answered and said to him, Lord, I know, Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof, but only speak a word, and my servant shall be healed. For I also am a man under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to this one, go, and he goes, and to another, come, and he comes. And to my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard it, he marveled and said to those who followed, assuredly I say to him, I have not found greater faith, not even in Jerusalem. And I say to you that many will come from the east and the west and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. Pay particular attention to what Jesus just said here, okay? And I say to you, many will come from the east and the west and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the sons of the kingdom will be cast out into outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Why? Because they rejected the new wine message of Jesus Christ and hung on to the old wine message. Then Jesus said to the centurion, go your way, and this is a Gentile, go your way, and as you have believed, so let it be done to you. And his servant was healed that same hour. Now when Jesus had come into Peter's house, he saw his wife's mother lying sick with a fever. So he touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she rose and served him. When evening had come, they brought to him many who were demon-possessed, and he cast out the spirit with a word and healed all who were sick. So next Sabbath, we are going to look at an aspect of this, and hopefully it'll be the final part, the third part. We'll look at the aspect of the new wine and the old wine skin, and the fundamental underlying meaning of that new wine and old wine skin, even though it had a local meaning when Jesus was speaking to him, but he was referring to the principle that is involved with the new wine into new wine skins. And we are going to cover that next Sabbath. So here we see that the new wine teaching, the new wine revelation that Jesus was giving of God, was showing that everything he was doing was undoing the works of the devil. And when we read, we find that in the Old Testament, some of these things God had put on people because they were evil. And here, Jesus is undoing all those works. So what Jesus is doing, the new wine work, all that was our old wineskin way of understanding. So when he's undoing the old wineskin works, he was showing clearly that what he's doing is of God. and the old wine understanding was not of God. And with this, we will close, and next Sabbath, we are going to look at this, finally, like I say, more spiritual significance. And God bless.